Hello, dear students. In today's topic, we will discuss the poem Father to Son, written by Elizabeth Jennings. Okay, students, in my previous video, have taught you, I taught you and gave you a line by line explanation of this poem. Okay, if you haven't watched that video yet, I request you to watch it first. Watch that video first, and thereafter will thereafter the understanding will be a better one. Okay, or even in this video we will discuss the poetic devices used in this poem, and we will also discuss the explanation of certain important expressions or phrases given in the poem. Okay, clear? So let us begin today's lecture. First of all, let us discuss the literary devices used in this poem. The first one is alliteration. You know, alliteration is a figure of speech in which a consonant sound is repeated, okay, at the beginning of words or phrases, words in a sentence. Okay, clear? So the use of alliteration is quite noticeable in the poem, as is clear from the following examples. For example, silence surrounds us. Here, S, sound of S is repeated. That's why it is the use of alliteration. Next one is seed I spent or sown. Again, sound of S is repeated. That's why the figure of speech has been used here is alliteration. Okay. The next one is metaphor. Okay, metaphor is a figure of speech in which we consider two different objects and we compare two different objects on a common point. Okay, clear? And we even treat two different objects as one. Okay, they are treated as one. So we each put out an empty hand. So here, empty hand as a metaphor. Okay, despite their efforts, both the father and son are unable to improve their relationship, and their achievements is nil. Okay, let me give you the explanation of some important expressions given in this poem. Okay, so the first one is yet I have killed the seed I spent. Okay, so the father wonders whether it is he himself who is responsible for the failure of the relationship. Even the father in this poem has tried to build a new relationship even when his child was just a small boy. Okay, clear? He has tried to make the relationship good and better. Okay, clear? Yet it seems that he himself has killed that initiative with some with his wrongdoings. Okay, clear? The next one is the child is built to my design. The child is built to my design. Okay, clear, students? Uh, so the son, the son is really a father's dream. Okay, and here the son is the father's dream child. Okay, and he has inherited his father's genes, perhaps takes after him, and has been brought up on according to a design, but also had a but also had a great plan for a wonderful life for the son. Here the father uh, has tried even to give or nurture his child uh, good values, but there are some circumstances with which he could not even maintain so or retain the values in it. Even he could not even inculcate such values in his child. Okay, clear. So he said the child is built to his design. Okay, the next one is silence surrounds us. Silence surrounds us. Okay, students, here in this expression the poet has tried to describe that silence here stands for harsh coldness and indifference that exist between the two. Okay, rather lending calmness to the environment, it has robbed it all of its warmth and friendliness. Okay, students, here, both the son and the father, they both live silently and they talk like strangers in that house. Okay, clear. There is no intimacy between them. Okay, that's why they always keep mum or keep quiet when they are together in the house. Okay, clear. The next one is we both must live on the same globe and the same land. Okay, so correct. Despite the tense relationship, they are forced to share their living place. Okay, means there are lots of differences in them between them. They have some conflicts. Okay, uh, apart from these things, they they both want to live under the even they both want to live under the same roof, but uh, both of them have their own egos. Okay, okay, and that ego never permit them to live together. Okay, clear. Move to next question, next expression, that is why anger grows from grief. Okay, so there is usually an element of self pity when one is in a state of grief. Okay, there is a feeling that one is a victim of it. Okay, clear. Hence, one loses uh, one's temper. Okay, and then uh, anger grows from this grief, and it results. It make them it even make them mm, have a terrible relationship between them. Okay, clear. Even the poet has also written hymn prodigal. Okay, the prodigal son. The prodigal son is a biblical reference from the New Testament's parables of Jesus. This story is of a father with two sons. Okay, the younger demanded his inheritance despite the fact that traditionally the eldest born is the heir or successor. Okay, the father exceeds and the spoilt younger son leaves home. He spends his fortune foolishly, eventually returning to his father's house with barely a stitch of cloth on his body. Okay, the father forgives him and welcomes him into his embrace embrace and with open arms and a celebrity and a celebratory feast. Okay, clear, clear. So the same thing has been discussed here in this poem, the father to son. Okay, here prodigal means wasteful or one's mean. Okay, so there is a reference of biblical story of prodigal son. Okay, and the same thing uh, has been accepted by the father here in this poem. Okay, the father, in spite of having squandered all the money that he had taken away, okay, he even is ready to accept his son's prodigality. Okay, clear. Even he would ready to bear or to tolerate his son's expenses. Okay, clear. Let us talk about the theme of this poem. Elizabeth Jennings' Father to Son highlights the theme of the generation gap, which crops up due to lack of communication, acceptance, and change of views and ideas. Okay, the poem reveals the internal conflict that a father undergoes when his son grows up and he has his own interests, ideas, and perception. Okay, clear? If we want to add something more in this theme, so we can even say that changing values or lifestyle, generation gap or clash of personalities, or faulty upbringing or bad social influence, whatever be the reason, the relationships are breaking up. Okay, this leaves the people sharing the relationship shattered and unfulfilled. Okay, um, the result is grief, anger, and further isolation or alienation. Okay. Unfortunately, a chilling silence is all that prevails in the relationship. Okay. Clear? So here the poet has clearly mentioned or craftily uh, brings the theme of deterioration. Okay, and the exotic relationship between a father and a son. Okay, clear? Okay, students, here if we talk about there is an irony, has there is an irony in this mm, poem. Irony, according to Wikipedia, is a situation, literary technique or rhetorical device which contains an incongruity or discordance that goes stinkingly beyond the most simple and evident meaning, words or action. Okay, clear? Clear? When words are intentionally used as an emphasis of truth or in an assertion, it is called verbal irony. Okay, such an assertion carries a meaning that is directly opposite to the truth. Clear? Clear? Here in this poem, all the father, all the actions that the father wants to do with his son, all the plans he has to build up a new relationship, okay, are proves to be irony here in this poem, because the son is not ready to accept all those ideas. Okay, clear? So students, now it is turn to discuss the question and answer related to this poem. Okay, let us read them, and you have to write all these answers in your notebook. Okay, the first question is, does the poem talks of an exclusively personal experience, or is it fairly universal? So the poem Father to Son talks about fairly a universal experience. Okay, when a child is growing up, the father is usually busy with his work and is not able to take out time for his child. Okay, when the father grows older and has free time, his son gets involved in his life and has no time for his old father. This cycle is universal. Okay, clear? Okay, all he does just because of the generation gap. Okay, next question is, how is the father's helplessness brought out in this poem? The father's helplessness is brought out in the poem by these lines: I don't understand this child, though we have lived together now, okay, in the same house for years. He speaks, I cannot understand myself, why anger grows from grief, yet what he loves I cannot share, and I know nothing of him. All these expressions shows that there is a lack of intimacy between them. Okay, these lines indicate how he wanted to make a relationship with his son better, and now, as his son was like a stranger to him, they both put out an empty hand to uh, each other and remain in vain and want to live in the same house. Okay. Next, identify the phrases and lines that indicate distance between father and son. The phrases and lines that indicate the distance between both of them are I do not understand uh, this child, though we have lived together in the same house. He speaks, I cannot understand myself. Silence surrounds us. All these lines shows that there is a distance between the father and son. Does the poem have a consistent rhyme scheme? The poem has a consistent rhyme scheme with an open verse form. The poet, the short sentences are juxtaposed with longer sentences. Okay, clear? Okay. Literal, if we talk the literal rhyme scheme, so here the poem does not have a consistent rhyme scheme. Okay, clear? It is a free verse. Okay, uh, build, child, build, now, know, have, move, love, live, live, or grief. Okay, in most of these cases, the lack of oral rhyme is more than made up by visual rhyme. Means the sound is quite seems to sound quite seems to match, but not the words. Okay, so rhyming scheme is not consistent here in this poem. Okay. If we talk about the comprehensions related to this stanza, the first question is who is I in the stanza? Which child is I talking about? Okay, so who is I? Clearly, I is the helpless father and the speaker of the poem. Okay, and he is talking about his uh, child. Okay, with whom he has no intimacy. Okay, if we talk about next question, why does he call the child this child rather than my child? So the father is frustrated with the son whose cold and indifferent behavior irritates him. Thus, he addresses his child as a stranger. Why does I, the father, feel that he knows nothing of him? Okay, so I feels I here feels icon the father feel that he knows nothing of his son due to the uh, strangeness or exoticness prevailed in their relationship. Okay. Next and last for this stanza, what effort does he make to be able to understand a child? The father tries to recollect his childhood and recall how he behaved as a child so that he could have a better psychological insight, okay, and understanding of his behavior to improve the relationship. Okay, students, let us take the next stanza. The seed sown, I spent and sown. Okay, to I cannot share. Okay, explained. Yet I have killed the seed I spent, so I have already killed it. The father wonders whether it is he himself who is responsible for the failure of the relationship. Okay, clear. Next is why do you think they behave or speak like strangers? Lack of understanding, or communication or a communication gap make them speak like stranger. Okay, clear. uh, Most important line is the child is built of my design, so I have already discussed it in the expressions. Okay. uh, why can't I share what he loves? Means वो क्यों नहीं कर सकता last line कि share his son's feeling. So lack of harmony and compatibility in the way of one of the father and the son. Okay, ठीक है. They don't have even the intimacy they should have in their relationship. Okay, that's why he cannot share what he loves. Okay, Next is silence surrounds us. So why there is silence in the house? Because they don't speak. Okay, like a father or son should do. Okay, clear? If we talk about the next stanza here, next stanza is globe comprises the land, then why has the poet used globe and land in the same sentence? The globe land को represent करता है तो land क्यों यूज की? तो the word globe can symbolize the mental world of emotions and feelings. The land can symbolize the physical space in the house. Okay, the father and the son have to coexist at both the places in order to have a loving and fulfilling relationship. Okay, clear? Clear? What is the outcome of the father and son's effort to restore amicable or friendly relationship between them? um, Although the father deeply desires to put together the shattered relationship with his son once again, and perhaps the son also wishes the same, to end up becoming further isolated, angry, and upset. Okay, students. So this is all from my end in this video. Clear? Uh, Stay home, be safe. Okay. Thanks for watching this video.